are you sure you consent to this, babe? Are you sure? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I do too. And so, and
Things
every
have
single
changed
day,
really substantially since
well,
then,
of
though,
course,
right?
yeah. But I mean, well, the strip clubs closed during COVID, and so someone reached out to me online on Instagram asking if I wanted to do adult film. And at first, I was like, no way, that's just crazy. But the clubs closed, and I just said, can we do this, babe? Are you sure? And like, I always ask him if he's okay with it, and he always says yes. And to this day, if he wants me to quit right now and go back to a regular job, I would. I mean, it would suck not having the money and being able to pay the bills, but I would do
She
it.
definitely has wanted to quit many
I
times
hate it.
too, where
Sometimes I hate
she
it. I
really
just wanna get
doesn't.
cabin,
She
you know?
definitely does not like it. It's just literally
Society,
for the
it
money.
makes it hard to make money. Now, if McDonald's paid a livable wage and I can make thousands a month, I would do it. But
People will create all sorts of justifications inside of their mind for behavior that they know is wrong. And when pressed on it, they always concede that the behavior was wrong, that the thing that they did was incorrect, that the thing that they did was awful. And starts to cinch out that always the same thing. This was done out of desperation. I had no choice. These are all abstainers from responsibility. It's all a way for these people to say, no, it's not my fault. I was actually victimized. I had no choice but to enter into this due to the circumstances of which I found myself through no fault of my own. It's absolutely in every way the pinnacle of self-deception. I contend, and though many of you in chat, many of you viewing this later, you may not believe this, and that's okay. I understand that there are many secularists who watch this channel, but I don't think any of you will disagree with the overarching point. The demonic functions this way. The way that it does is it operates off of self-deception, almost by telling you enough truth and then mixing in one big lie. And that's the ultimate way to deceive. It's also the ultimate way to self-deceive. You start with the truth. I'm broke. You start with another truth. This would make it so that I'm not broke anymore. You start with the third thing, which is the lie, right? Which is, well, I'm actually okay with this, and I'll create a justification for why it's okay. That's crazy. But this is something most people deal with to varying degrees, and it's very difficult to deal with. But the other thing is that once you're in it, what do? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, can you? You can't put it back in the tube. So you just say, well, I guess we'll just have to take it to the end. And this is too bad, because that's the greatest form of deception, too, is that now that we're in, we can't stop. We can't reform. There's no mercy for us. There is no salvation for us. We have to endlessly live with this justification. Melly for $5 says she probably had the option to continue living with her family, but she wanted to strip naked instead. Goodness. One of the things that Pearl Davis does say quite often that I do agree with is that she's never seen women fight harder for anything than the right to be naked. Now, whether you agree with Pearl or you don't agree with Pearl, regardless of that, that is, I mean, something that that you kind of notice, right?
it's just not the reality.
And that's definitely the type, when we did have that $100 in our bank account and she did this, we did have jobs at the time. They just were, we had
Miserable.
literally
So
like
miserable. I
getting
would come
paid
back
like
crying.
$400 a week, and then after.
And that's when the whispers start for how to cut corners. They both have jobs, right? They're not making that much at the jobs, but they're making enough to get by. I mean, they had $100 at least, right? They had $100 at least. And then they started cutting quarters. What's a way for us to get rich quick? There's always a hefty price to pay for that, by the way.
Food, gas, insurance, you know, any other bills, we only had $100, and even that $100, was not going to last us the week. So it was just tough. I had to ask friends for money, stay on people's couches. My car had, engine issues, needed to get repaired.
So what? That's essentially the story of everybody who's starting out in life that I'm aware of. Very few of them start out with a silver spoon in their mouth. Sometimes they have varying degrees of help from different people. Sometimes they have a little bit of help from the folks. Sometimes they don't. But I've basically everybody's in this boat when they're young, scraping by any way they possibly can. That's life. Sold his soul in a second, only for material gain. What's up, Brian? How you doing, man? Enjoy the collapse, Brian.
It's tough, and a lot of people have gone through this, and some people find other alternatives to get out of it, and then others this is what you had to do to get out of it.
Go ahead.
I just have a question because, I've kind of been in similar situations, like living in cars and going through hardships as well. Did you guys ever try to get like food stamps or anything? Because that
We
helps
did.
significantly.
Yes, yeah.
This lady next to him doesn't believe him at all. Says, wait a second. Wait a second. I've been in shitty situations too. But I didn't go and start giving people pornography-based blowjobs in order to extricate myself from that situation. Life's hard sometimes, right? But she seems to be just as bewildered as everybody else at this table, trying to figure out and trying to understand why somebody would do something like this only for the purpose of material gain. Nothing else, just purely for materialism. Who has respect for that? That's like the opposite of Rocky, right? It's supposed to be you get like a shot at something great, and you're the underdog, and you do everything that you can possibly do to improve yourself so that when you have that shot, you give it your all, even if you fail. It's like the opposite of that plot. You start out ready, and you can do something, and you're already making progress towards it. You just sell out immediately so that you can get shit that you want. A cabin in the woods with a nice little stereo system and a studio for you to make your beats on.
We applied for that. I would find that the money was
Guys, just
definitely,
both of you, I need you speaking closer to
I
the
would
mics.
definitely say that the money was not nearly enough from what you would get for food stamps. I would say it would run out after like a week or two. And then the other thing is the money that California tends to provide is like, I think it was like $300 a week or $300 or something a month. I mean, this state costs thousands of dollars to live comfortably, I would say.
100%. But just as someone
To live comfortably.
who's been on food stamps before, that would mean that both of you guys are able to get it. So then that's doubled at that time.
Yeah. And we had that, and it's
Well,
still
one of us had a job because one of us had to get a job. Both of us just quit and be on food stamps. Even so, we would have the same amount of money, or if not less, because if I'm making $400 a week at the grocery store and he's on food stamps, that's more than both of us on food stamps with no job.
Do you guys have a date for your wedding? Is that out of curiosity?
No, it hasn't been top priority because buying a
Hasn't been top priority because he's letting other dudes bang his chick. That's why it hasn't been top priority. Whatever says so, Andrew, some updates, they broke up. Really? No, you could cut the irony with a knife. Interestingly enough, I'm sure nobody's surprised by that, but the fact that this guy came on and confessed this, and then they broke up after that, he'll always have to remember this for the rest of his life. I just can't imagine that. You have to remember that for the rest of your life, that you confessed to doing this in front of who knows how many people have seen. Maybe 1 million people have seen this. Maybe more. And he confessed that to all of them. It'd be like, no matter where you're at, no matter what you ever accomplish after this, no matter what you ever fucking do after this, ever, this will be the thing that your mind always goes back to. This will be the one thing that moving past will just be impossible to do.
There's death everywhere these days, Johnny. But what gives human life its worth anyway? Because someone loves it, hates it. The flesh is weak, Johnny. Only the soul is immortal. And yours belongs to me.